video devotions we're calling Wake Up Foundation. You know, we're hearing a lot of voices in the world. I think it's more important that we hear the voice of God. And so the Bible study method that I want us to use is off the word hear as an acrostic. H stands for highlight. So you take the Bible verses that you're actually reading and you highlight a verse that stands out to you. E stands for explain, A stands for apply, and R stands for respond. So in Luke chapter number 1, that's our verses that we're looking at today. I want to just give you a couple thoughts about context as we dive into the Gospel of Luke. Did you know that the Gospel of Luke is one part of a two-part history book? The book of Acts would also be another part of giving some historical context to the spread of the gospel. Luke is a physician. We know that based on various passages, and we believe he was the author that was used by God to write the Gospel of Luke. Also, nearly 60%, let me say that again, nearly 60% of the material that's in the Gospel of Luke is unique. It's not found in any of the other Gospels. So you're actually diving into something that's so rich with some material that you won't find in any of the other Gospels. It's truth about God. And I wrote down in my notes, Luke chapter 1, verse 13, that's what I highlighted. Again, we need to hear the voice of God. As I was reading, that was what God began to speak to me and show me. It was Luke chapter 1, verse 13, particularly the phrase where it's talking about the angel speaking to Zechariah, and it says, because of your prayer that has been heard. He's been praying for he and his wife to be able to have a child because they were barren. And during that culture, for the woman not to be able to bear a child, it was almost seen as shame for them. And so God says, I have heard your prayer. And so Zechariah and Elizabeth desired a child and they felt this shame. But what God shows me in this text as I begin to write out an explanation is God cares about what affects us. They felt this shame, they felt discouragement, and they pray to God and God hears their prayer. Listen, He cares about what you're feeling and going through right now. And He would love to hear from you about it. As I wrote down, what do I apply from this? Here's what I wrote down. God listens to His children. Sometimes we pray prayers and we think, is my prayer getting above the ceiling? Is it actually reaching the throne room of God? Listen, your prayer is reaching the throne room of God. He's praying for you right now. Jesus is actually praying for you right now, and He'd love to hear from you. How can I respond to this? This is what I wrote down in my notes. I need to be more specific in my prayers. They were praying for a child, something specific. It wasn't just general, God just blessed me, God just used me. It was a specific request they were giving to God. The second thing I wrote down is I need to be more faithful to pray. Now, I don't know what stands out to you in this passage. This is just what stands out to me. Go look at Luke chapter number 1, read through it, highlight, explain, apply, and respond, and I'll see you back on Tuesday.